Greetings, listeners, and welcome to The Spiritual Experience, a show where we share stories of life, love, and redemption for all of humanity on Earth. So sit back and enjoy. Try to identify with the speakers and not compare. Don't forget to subscribe on all podcast platforms. I'm your host, Jay Lewis, and here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Spiritual Experience. You know the deal. Find us Apple, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you can, however you can. Today, we have a wonderful guest, somebody that I've been watching kind of like swimming around in the pool of recovery. She's doing her thing, and I couldn't wait to have her on the show because she's in it. She has what it takes. Like, I've been around long enough to see people like, oh, somebody's in here playing footsie with recovery, and then there's somebody who's like diving in and getting the help that they need and helping a lot of other people. So everybody say hello to Allie. Allie, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Jared.
Nice.
Thank
Okay.
you.
First things first, where are you from?
I am from a town called Bronxville, New York, in Lower Westchester County.
What was it like growing up there?
I'll tell you exactly what it was like. First of all, I love that you said I was swimming around, by the way. I'm picturing like a tadpole in evolution, like they're crawling out of the water, and then I'm growing arms, and then I'm growing legs. And I love that imagery and that analogy. So thanks. I'm a sober tadpole. I'm like in a tadpole phase. I got 15 months. First time ever. The Bronxville is 1 square mile town, very wealthy town. I was not wealthy. My dad was a college professor, and my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and then an airline employee, and then an airline executive. I lived in the rentals on Sagamore Road, still the right side of the tracks, but to them, it was the projects. And I leaned into it. And my brother will tell you differently that it was, look at me, I'm getting a Brooklyn accent now. My Bronxville friends are going to be like, who is this woman? Allie lived in the projects. My mom is from Peru. So, people would call, I'll never forget, let's call her Susie, called my house. And she's like, oh, I tried calling you last night, but your cleaning lady answered. Your maid answered. I'm like, that's my mom.
Wow. Where's your dad from?
My dad, ironically, was born in the projects in Harlem, right. Self-made man. Then he moved out to Hicksville, Levittown type, after the war. His dad was fought in World War II, bought his house with the GI Bill.
Nice. And
very sadly, and I do believe I have this absorbed generational trauma, my dad's mom died very suddenly. They moved back to the projects. Oh. My dad is Italian-American and Russian. Wow. So we've got lots of drama in the family.
Yeah. And then he met your mom, and that's like fire and gasoline.
Oh, God. But you want to hear the story of how they met?
I can't wait.
Okay. So Maria Alejandra Como del Bois was a very privileged 19-year-old Peruvian from Lima, Peru. Her father was a prominent statesman, senator, was the first person to fly across aviation, a pioneer in Peru, met de Gaulle, met Churchill, everybody, the World War II players, fancy men, they were fancy. She was bored with her life at 19. She had a crappy boyfriend, because women could only really get married, right? And she's
at that time, yeah.
Yeah, especially in Peru.
Yeah. And
she's like, I'm going to go on vacation to New York. And they're like, okay, here's a green card, because my uncle at the time was doing all the plants for GM. He was a very prominent architect. And you look at the power plants in Detroit that are since derrumbados,
dilapidated.
Yeah, that's my uncle. Big metaphor for my life. He was also an alcoholic, by the way.
Nice.
Good times. So my mom comes to the country for the World's Fair for vacation, and she's like, I'm going to live here. She calls my grandmother. Now, long-distance calls are very expensive at the time, so you can imagine calling my Bita. She's like, Mom, I'm going to stay here. going to stay with Uncle Tony, her cousin Tony, my Uncle Tony, going to get a job. And my mom's like, ¿Quién te va a lavar los calzones? Who's going to wash your underwear? You're going to get a job? And she did. Self-made woman. She was selling encyclopedias in the bad part of town. She was staying at a woman's boarding house. The lady at the boarding house was like, I know this lovely man. His name is Jimmy. He's obsessed with South American culture. He speaks Spanish. Go on a date with him. And my mom's like, I'm here on vacation. I'm going back, but whatever. Jimmy was my dad. They went on a date on January 2nd of 1960. She came for the 63 World's Tour. They were married in 68. She never looked back.
Wow.
Blind date, because it was a woman. She got to the boarding house because she was crying and lost on the subway trying to sell her jewelry because she was too proud to tell her parents that she wasn't making it in New York. Lady on the subway spoke Spanish, said, put your jewelry away, come with me, you'll live in my boarding house, because she didn't want to live with her cousin anymore. And the lady from the boarding house knew my dad from working at a photography shop. My dad was a big, huge nerd. My mom was the first woman he ever kissed, super smart. And my mom fell in love. Like, she was used to wining and dining and older men and limos and drivers and chauffeurs. And here was this guy putting himself through Queens College, but knew every last thing about Hispanic culture and society, and then some, and was already on his planning to go to law school. So my mom was like, oh, that's good, at least. He changed the game up and became a college professor.
Nice.
It was sweet.
So how many siblings do you have?
I have an older brother who is my best friend.
Nice.
And my Tom to my Jerry, or vice versa, depending on the day. Can't live with him, can't live without him.
That's how it goes. So it was a little bit, it wasn't easy up there.
No, it was beautiful. I had such a happy childhood. I leaned into being the weirdo and the outcast. I wasn't an athlete by any means. It was a small town. My mom didn't drive. That's the other thing. And my dad, I would have to walk places and be picked up. I rely on my friends for rides in Bronxville, which is beautiful. Like, literally beautiful. It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. And in 7th grade, I went to a fancy Catholic school for a while, in elementary school, because I wanted to get out of that school, of Bronxville school. But I came back in 7th grade. And I was the weirdo, and I leaned into it. You know, I was the class clown. I was funny and kind of smart. Teachers liked me, kids liked me. I wasn't a prissy prude. I wasn't a jock. I was a man of all people. And so it was cool. And I met my best friends, who are my best friends to this day. My brother had a very different experience.
Yeah.
I didn't drink. I didn't drink to be different. Everybody else drank. I'm like, I'm Allie. I'm going to be different. I was an actress. I was, the leads in plays, and certainly not musically talented. But I didn't drink in high school. Like, everybody has these high school stories that, like, oh, I got wasted. I hated kegs. I hated beer. The girls, remember Bartles and James?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah, that was what they were drinking. I would show up to parties with my Clearly Canadian. I don't know. It didn't call my attention. Alcoholism run in my family on both sides. I didn't care for it.
When did that attitude change?
Honestly,
yeah,
the attitude towards not caring for alcohol, the disease stays behind you. I was born an alcoholic. You know what the disease was waiting for? Kids.
Yeah.
My son's 16. And I love them to death, but it's hard being a mother, being a parent. The attitude towards alcohol changed. I guess it was 2006. 2005, I lost my first child, first pregnancy I lost.
Oh, man.
I didn't medicate with alcohol. I just cried and prayed. Alcoholism is a progressive disease. It did not happen overnight with me.
Yeah, there's a saying that some of us are like, we're born victims and we're just waiting for the disease to show up. And then...
I'd never heard that. I like that.
Oh, yeah. And then, so you get out of high school. Did you go to college?
I did. I went to NYU for acting.
Okay.
And art history. 2 very practical, degrees.
Yeah. Super fancy.
Oh, I want to tell you a funny story going back to Bronxville. I did get drunk once. My friend, let's just call him Johnny, had celiacs, so he couldn't drink beer. But he's like, so he's drinking hard alcohol. Because, celiacs is wheat. You're allergic to wheat.
Yeah.
And he's like, you might like this. And he gave me a kamikaze.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, kamikaze shots.
It's like very white, like 2-stripe white belt stuff.
Yeah. And then also he would, he introduced me to Long Island iced tea, and I had a couple of sips, and I never got drunk, and I was like, I couldn't get down with this. My parents didn't drink hard alcohol, never in the house. My dad was a teetotaler. My mom would drink her vodka tonic on Sundays with my godmother. So I did get drunk once at prom. And my prom date, who was my best guy friend at the time, whatever, had Tylenol and water for me for the next day. And I was hungover and I hated it. I'm like, what the fuck happened? He's like, you got drunk. I was like, whatever that is, I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Made some bad choices apparently that night. It should have been a red flag. The red flag also was I used to love to drink vinegar from the bottle as a kid.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your mom, she's important. Mm-hmm. I can tell. And
Peru is important.
Right. So what is she thinking about your progression? Oh, here's my daughter.
Oh,
now she's going to NYU. No, I'm saying just in life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like she's like, oh, look at what the fuck I made from a boarding house and this fucking guy. Now here we are.
So proud, so thrilled. She busted her ass. She started in reservations at some airline. I forget if it was Alitalia or whatever. Ended up district regional manager for KLM Northwest Airlines. Her retirement paid for my wedding.
Wow.
Everybody would be like, is your mom a stewardess? I'm like, no, motherfuckers. She's a fucking executive. Shut the fuck up. It would make me so mad. Not that there's anything wrong with being a stewardess.
No,
it's like my mom busted her ass to get where she was. She was a stay-at-home mom. Went back to work when I was in 6th grade. I remember her memorizing airline codes and practicing her diction to answer the phone properly because she has, but it would be an accent.
Yeah. My mom, like, you remind me a lot in different ways of my sister. But, yeah.
You remind me of my brother.
Thank you. I would be, I get more offended for my mom than my mom gets offended for herself.
Yeah, why is
but
that?
My
She's
mom,
Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah, my mom is like, it doesn't matter. I have the diamonds. Like, like fucking, like.
Que me importa?
Yeah, who cares what they say? And because, like, my mom, especially when we were kids, like, these ladies, because my mom is very fair-skinned, and
Did you ever get, why do you speak Spanish? Because you're white?
Well, yeah. But it would also be like these white ladies would be condescending towards my mom, and my mom wouldn't get it right away because it's not her first language. And my sister would fucking freak out and be like, you nasty cunt bitch, don't ever say that to my fucking mom, like in the supermarket because of that. And my mom would be like, that lady's crazy, don't pay attention. She would always say, don't pay attention to them, it's okay, you do your thing. And like, so I identify with that, where like somebody be like, oh, what is your mom like the maid? They're like, people be like, why does your mom have that funny accent? I'm like, bro, because my mom's a fucking immigrant, bro.
Yeah.
And that's why. And that's why my mom sews all my fucking clothes, because she knows how to do shit. And my mom fucking goes to school, and she worked, and she did all her shit too.
By the way, my mom would never call herself an immigrant.
Right. Like I would.
She was a tourist.
Like I tell my mom, she would always be like, no, Puerto Rico's part of America. I'm like, yeah. But like, you guys got your own language, your own food, your own everything.
Your own superstitions.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So like, so I understand. So your mom must have been really proud of you. You were in college and you finished?
I finished college
Closer
early.
to the mic.
I finished college. I finished early because I had taken AP classes, and I knew we couldn't afford it. We took out loans to Wazoo. My mom busted her ass. My dad busted her ass. I had 2 jobs in college. I didn't drink in college because I was working at a restaurant. I was working in the art history library, and I was rehearsing and performing.
You were taking the craft very seriously then, the performing stuff.
Or so I thought. Yeah, doesn't
No,
everybody take their acting craft seriously? Fucking $100,000 later, and here I am on a podcast with my voice.
Yeah.
I hope though that.
Yeah, but you took it serious enough to not go out drinking crazy.
Absolutely. And I didn't like it. The other thing is I knew my parents were working hard for this. I knew that I wanted this. I also knew that my brother wasn't doing so great, so I had to do well in school.
Yeah. So what happens after college?
I do 2 professional tours in Spanish. In the country, one national professional tour in Spanish. I played Dulcinea and Don Quixote, where I met one of my dear friends and roommates. Then I did another show, and then I was like, I want health insurance and to pay my own rent and to not live this life. I didn't love it as much.
Right.
So I went into sales and marketing, and I was good at it. And I liked it. And I wasn't drinking then either. I was a professional. I would go to happy hours now and then. I wasn't Sex in the City drinking Cosmos. I saw that shit and I was like, that's so fucking phony and made up and inauthentic.
Right.
I was so fucking pretentious.
Yeah.
Still kind of am.
No, it's so funny. So what happens next?
Working in Manhattan and having my own place, I decided to be grateful and give back to the community, the world, God. So I decided to volunteer at a homeless shelter because one night I was listening to my dad lecture at a Presbyterian church. My dad is a scholar on C.S. Lewis, Christian author. And I was like, oh, God, I've heard this lecture before, whatever. I went wandering around the church. I see a notice that they had needed volunteers for a shelter. This is Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church, by the way, home of fog lifters on 55th and 5th. I didn't know that at the time. And I volunteered at the homeless shelter. And
what was that like for you?
I loved it. I would work my day job in advertising, and then I knew that every Tuesday, it was Tuesdays, I'll never forget, and sometimes Thursdays, I'd go to the shelter. It was 10 men sleeping in the church basement, and I would hand them their linens. I would make the coffee. A lot of them were in recovery, and we could talk about it because in high school, I had grown up around it. I don't want to break anybody's anonymity, but they're huge parts of my life.
Yeah.
And
people close to you.
yeah. And it was lovely. You could smoke inside. We'd smoke cigarettes. And I didn't even smoke except play chess with them, play cards.
Nice.
These guys had stories, Jared. And they were loved. They just wanted love and attention and time.
Yeah, and you're going there and you're just like, this is humanity.
Yeah. There was a man there, Arthur Nussbaum. There by the grace of God, the disease got him bad. Not talking to, ended up homeless from being a famous, fancy executive. We discovered that we both loved opera. Here's this homeless guy who loves opera. His caseworker got him a Section 8 housing. We stayed friends. He got very sick. I went to visit him in the hospital. He asked me to reunite him with his family, and I called these random strangers. And they're like, oh yeah, Uncle Arthur, he's a fucking drunk. He ruined my life. What does he want from me? I was like, well, he's dying in the hospital. He's like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm just Allie. I met him. Where'd you meet him? At a homeless shelter. Oh, of course you did.
Yeah.
I came to visit him.
Lucky him, they came.
He made amends. They put him in another home. One day, he was very old. One day, the family, to thank me, took me out to lunch out in Coney Island. Wow. And Arthur, being old, had relapsed at that lunch. He was very drunk. very sloppy, very messy, on top of being physically ill at 80 years old.
Right.
And he died in the hospital. After that night, they stopped talking to me. I went to visit him again. He's like, I want you to have this. He gave me his suitcase of his worldly possessions. And haven't talked about Arthur in so long. He gave me his suitcase of worldly possessions. And he asked me to call his nephew, also Arthur, to let him know that he had passed. And I did. And I just left a message. I tried a few times. You want to know what was in the suitcase?
What was in the suitcase? That was my next question.
A beautiful cashmere sweater.
Yeah?
Yeah. A custom-made suit. An envelope of what I thought were pinup girls, but they were his former girlfriends. Beautiful black and white photos of 3 different women who were the love of his lives. I remember him talking about it. He never got married or had kids.
Wow.
A collection of gold pens. 2 very nice, expensive watches. Pin seal wallets that he had custom made. Look at how far you fall. This fancy, very wealthy man. A journal. His military. He was a veteran, by the way.
Yeah.
It's disgusting how this country treats veteran, but that's
a whole different thing.
Speech for a different day on a different soapbox. So that's the story of Arthur. I still have the suitcase and several of the items, and I used to wear the cashmere sweater regularly until my husband accidentally donated it, but that's okay.
Yeah, because that's something else that happened at that shelter, no?
Yeah, I met my husband.
How did that happen? Elaborate.
Okay, so I was volunteering regularly. Peter would call me, and he would say, okay, so Miss Como, I need you to show up every Tuesday night. I'm like, I know, God, okay. And I was like, who is this guy? He's like so eager, and I know what to do. He just like annoyed me for some reason, like his officiousness, that's what it was. And he was like ultra kind. I was like, oh, he must be new to the country with this weird last name.
Right. How old were you?
26. I just turned 26.
Yeah.
And I show up one night, and he's like, oh, great, I'll meet you Tuesday night. And that's what I call his shelter coordinator voice, because he does not sound that way. I show up, and I'm here with Arthur. I mean, these guys were awesome. I walk in, and here's this 6'4", dark-haired, green-eyed, handsome gentleman. And I was like, oh, hi, this must be Peter. And nobody gets me, Jared. Not one man has ever broken my heart or made me flustered or nervous except this man. And I was like, this is how I know this is the one. I told my mom I just met my future husband. She's like, I you say that about everybody. I'm like, no, this time I really mean it. We went out for drinks afterwards, stayed talking till 1 o'clock in the morning. It was like I'd known him my whole life.
How soon after that do you get hitched?
That was in 2000. We got married in 2003.
Yeah.
And he and I both, I mean, you meet him on the street, and you can ask him the story of how you met your wife and who she was. He'll tell you the same story without knowing who you were, and then I told him the story, like the dating game. He felt it too. It hasn't been an easy, wonderful 20 years by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. So you get married, you settle down. What happens?
Have I settled down?
What happens next?
So I'm a professional now. Peter is finishing law school. We are happy as a clam, and what we both knew. Oh, by the way, when we got engaged, the first place we went to was the homeless shelter. He had told the guys he was going to propose to me, and they had a cake waiting for me.
Oh, it's incredible.
And it was really sweet. All these guys, like, our joy was their joy. They came to the church. You know, we had invited a few to the reception, but they declined. It's a beautiful thing. We knew that we wanted to start a family. I knew
Right.
this man was for me. I wanted kids. He wanted kids. It was timing. And we were living in Midtown Manhattan. We got pregnant. We lost that baby, needed a change of scenery, wanted to start something fresh, so we decided to check out Brooklyn. He was going to Brooklyn Law School. Why not? So we go to Park Slope, and we have an amazing one-bedroom apartment on Garfield Place, and between 8th and the Park.
It's nice over there.
And my mom found it in the New York Times, a print ad for a rental for $1,600.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
That's like a parking spot now.
yeah.
1,600.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. With a garden.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the way he worked that garden, you'd think he'd freaking owned a plantation. We made it so beautiful. We were truly happy newlyweds and got pregnant because, it's in the water in Park Slope. Something's in the air.
Yeah.
And I had postpartum euphoria when my son was born.
Wow.
Him and me against the world. My husband went back to work. I couldn't go back to work. I couldn't afford a nanny, and I couldn't really afford to stay home. When we crunched the numbers and it was like tipped slightly in the favor of staying home, I was actually elated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to spend more time with your son.
Oh, yeah, this kid was amazing. Is amazing.
Yeah.
He, you don't know when you're pregnant, but your baby kicks. He didn't kick. He would laugh inside my tummy. My belly would shake.
Yeah.
And I knew it was joy, and I knew it was laughter.
Right.
Sometimes he'd kick.
Yeah.
And he was born smiling. This kid had a sense of humor at 3 months when he grabbed a diaper out of my hand when I went to change it, and he giggled. I'm like, this kid's a freaking genius. He couldn't reach something one day. He was 10 months, and he was crawling, and he wanted to reach a toy, and he was climbing up the thing, and he still couldn't reach it. I will never forget this. Hand to God. He gets down, gets a cube, a little toy block, and he steps up and stands on it to reach the toy that he wanted.
Right.
I was dumbfounded. He was a problem solver and a scotch, as my nanny would say, from day one. He was speaking very clearly at 14 months. His first word was blueberry.
Nice.
Perfectly said. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. We would stroll and laugh and play. I would have conversations with him. And he was very physically capable. I was so blessed. I was so blessed. It was like a freaking vacation. And my husband would come home. I'm a terrible cook, but I'd have some kind of dinner made. And then all of a sudden, I got pregnant again. I'm like, how'd that happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how it happens. Wasn't even thinking. Didn't think I could get pregnant again. I was still breastfeeding.
Wow.
Yeah. But you can. And very suddenly, I was pregnant with a 1.5-year-old, 14-month-old. So they're 2 years apart, my kids.
Yeah.
Gave birth to my daughter. Postpartum depression, it was the opposite. Different birth story. I gave birth to my son almost at home. Hospital birth with my daughter. She's a ball of fire. Yeah, like I say, he was laughing when he was in my womb. She was fighting to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different personalities.
She's a warrior.
Oh, God, that girl is a warrior. We're all going to be working for her one day.
That's funny.
And not for nothing, but she's beautiful. She looks like my mom. Like, stunning, where people are like, is she human? And my
Yeah.
mom, too. My mom was very beautiful, is very beautiful. So I have 2 small kids, and I'm alone. All of a sudden, it became work, being a mom. The physical labor that goes into being a mom, people don't really know.
Right.
The pushing of the stroller, the loads of laundry. So I was tired, physical.
Almost like the mundane of just every day.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Yeah.
So is this where alcohol showed up?
How'd you guess?
I can smell it.
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And it also became normal to drink alcohol. The fucking mommy wine culture is sad and disgusting.
A little closer to the mic.
And it's okay to drink at play dates, and it's okay to drink at, I'm not driving. It's Park Slope. We're walking everywhere.
Right, so kids are playing together.
And moms are getting trashed.
Yeah.
Not knowing that we're getting trashed. And then,
You're like, it's like coping, like bonding. You're like, almost like trauma bonding, but like.
Absolutely, 100%.
Wow.
It's trauma bonding. It's the mundacity of changing the diapers, the dinner, the bedtime routine. It's like, let me get through it by getting a little bit tipsy with my girlfriends who are also going through it.
Right.
We didn't know.
You guys wanted to belong somewhere.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, if you don't have kids, Park Slope is very anonymous.
Yeah.
But that's how people find each other. Bro, Park Slope parents, that's like a mafia.
I can't comment on that.
I love them.
Cosa Nostra.
Yeah.
We have a secret handshake.
But the whole thing is that, like, I mean it, a mafia in a very loving way. Because it's such a community, like all those parenting mommy boards, they were all coming to fruition around that time.
That's where I met a group of wonderful women who I'm
It was
friends
all,
with
I remember, they were
day.
all like these
at the
Yahoo.
Tea Lounge.
Yeah, my God, the Tea Lounge on Union Street.
From Boing Boing.
Dude, they would like, I would go by there.
And we'd have our boobs out.
Bro, you guys would have strollers fucking everywhere.
And we were the stroller brigade.
It was like, oh my God, it's so crazy because my very good friend, my brother Roberto, lives like he has a place a few blocks from now, President 7th. And I remember people like, oh, let's go to the Tea Lounge. I'm like, you can't go during these times because all the moms are there. And it's
like being with a motorcycle gang, like at a bar on 3rd Street. But
right,
this time it's strollers.
But some of them, but here's the other thing, is that like they would be like not warm. Like you go in there and like, bro, this lady just shoveled herself together and has her kid in here.
Oh, dude, we're angry and we're entitled.
Yeah.
We gave birth. We gave birth to these kids, and we own the fucking sidewalk, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Get out my way with my... At the time, it was Phil and Ted and Bugaboos. I don't know what the fancy strollers are now.
Yeah.
But
no, and so...
Were you using at the time?
No, I was way sober.
You were sober for this Tea Lounge era?
Way sober. I was like...
How many times did you have to say the Serenity Prayer in the Tea Lounge with mommy groups there?
I would go in, and it was funny because I would go in and... to put flyers on that wall because you were allowed there.
Remember that?
You can put handyman flyer. You could do whatever you want.
Oh, that place was so dirty too.
Yeah. And I remember I was just like, dude. But that was where they would congregate. So you were involved with this. You were clicking up with these ladies.
I want to make it very clear: the moms group and I, the ladies that I mentioned, that I'm still friends with, we kept each other sane, not through alcohol. That was legitimate.
No, of course. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, like, for a mom, it's wine o'clock at 2, at 1 or whatever. Before, because here's the thing, it's a whole nother job once the partner gets home. Then it's a whole nother job. Then it's like dinner, then kids, bed, and then you have to be there for somebody else. Yeah. On top of that. It's a lot of pressure.
And I wasn't. And my husband was working late, trying to make partner or at least work very beautiful work ethic. This man, he's Midwestern. I call him the Clydesdale, like the Budweiser horses. He works his butt off at everything he does. One of the reasons that made me realize I wanted to marry this man. I asked him to change a light bulb in my lamp because it wasn't working. We were like dating. He rewired the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, this is marrying material. This is going to be the father of my children.
So you got 2 kids?
Husband working all the time, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to have a cocktail or 2. It's also normal to go to sing-alongs, and at this point I graduated from wine to vodka.
Right.
I discovered vodka in my mid-30s.
Right.
And it was progressive, more and more. Prosecco was fine. You know, we were dainty, we were feminine, we never got sloppy, or so I thought.
Right.
Or
You
so-
never got obvious.
No. Do you want to know what?
What?
I would wear dark leggings so that when I peed myself, people wouldn't notice when I'd stroll home wasted.
Wow.
And so my son wouldn't know. Because he was, as I mentioned, very precocious and astute.
Right. And he's growing up, so if he's becoming 4 or 5 years old, he knows what's going on.
Oh, at 6, he was like, Mommy, can you please not get drunk tonight?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's how far it progressed.
Yeah. Maybe he was 8. He was with his best friend, mutual friend that you and I both know.
Yeah.
And they would be like, oh, yeah, we don't want Luke's mom to get any margaritas. I'm like, guys, we're getting tacos. Of course I have to get margaritas. Like, the kids would discuss it.
Yeah.
If that wasn't a red flag or shameful to me, so blind.
How long was this going on for?
Until it was secret, and I thought I was hiding it. It was a good, if I'm going by the ages of the kids, my son was starting 6th grade, and I would be wild and crazy. But Jared, you know what I learned in the rooms, and I never knew? And my husband, who was, by the way, an alcoholic and telling me I was, but I wasn't listening to him, it's not how much you drink, but how you drink.
Exactly.
I never knew that. And I always just thought I was passionate about everything. The way I eat, the way I appreciate film and art, the way I make love, the way I travel. I do everything at 110%. So...
Yeah, that's like, people think that's ambition. That's addict mentality.
Yeah. You know, when somebody becomes obsessed about something, and I would think it perfectly okay that because I didn't drink all month and then I got blackout drunk, I wasn't an alcoholic.
Right.
So my son is in 6th grade, I start working again.
Yeah.
Ah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I had an identity now. I wasn't, quote unquote, stuck at home. I was a active PTA mom. I was volunteering left and right. Oh, God, I owe immense to that school principal and that PTA. But
There's a lot of other moms that were doing the same thing. You didn't think anything was abnormal, no?
I didn't think anything was abnormal with me.
Right.
I didn't know people were talking about me, but I learned later on they were.
Yeah.
That sucked. That's a lot of shame.
Yeah, let me ask you something. How do you, and I don't like to play these games, but how do you think you would have felt if one of them that was close to you said something? Because we understand if your husband's saying something, because, you know, my Emily never takes anything the right way. Nor do I. Yeah. What did somebody say in the, where were we? I hope you were there, but I don't think you were there. This guy was sharing, and he said, somebody offered him help, and he said, "Is that a threat?"
Yes, I was there. Who said that?
That was Clyde. Yeah.
I'm going to write that down.
But I know, but that's how we feel.
Yeah.
Right? When somebody's like, listen, I don't want to step on your toes, but, you know, by the way, maybe, and you're like, maybe what? What do you mean, maybe? Blah, 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 blah.
Can I tell you something?
I do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I do it all. And, like, that's how we turn into it.
Somebody did, and I owe her an amends, actually.
Yeah. And a hug, maybe.
And a hug, and I hated her fucking guts. I was like, who the hell does she think she is? I was like, I'm having fun, Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay? And if I'm not allowed to have a cup of vodka at this, then what's the point? And she's like, Allie, you have a problem. This is a school, and this is a children's event.
Yeah.
And I got mad at her.
Sure.
I was like, who do you think you are? You're already bossing everybody around as it is, bitch.
Yeah, we get so offended.
So offended.
At reality.
At reality. How fucked up is that?
Bro, at reality, like, yo, you're getting drunk at the school event. Like, I used to show up to my son's back to school night, coked out of my mind, like grinding my teeth down to a nub, like thinking that it's okay.
Because it's a back to school event. You had to get high.
Yeah, and it was just so...
Do you think the teacher knew?
Of course, because I got up in front of everybody and I left in the middle while she was making a presentation because, you know, when that bell rings that you have to leave, wherever you are, you got to leave.
Yeah.
Right? So the bell rang, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I said, just in case you guys don't know who my son is, the good-looking one. And then I fucking left. Such an embarrassment, you know? God. So crazy. They're probably like, I'm surprised they didn't call, like, CPS. Or,
did you go make an amends?
Hell no. I don't even know who this lady is. But this was like, I mean, this is almost 20 years ago. But, yeah. So I understand that when we're in the grips, there is no limit.
No limit.
There's no limit. If you're going into traffic court, you have airplane bottles, or you do, like there's no place that says that you can't be who you are, and like
that's exactly it. Nobody tells Allie what to do.
You earn this right. Look, I got these 2 kids. I got this husband.
Yeah.
This guy's fucking gonna make partner. I'm back at work. Bitch.
Yeah. Like, now I'm celebrating.
Yeah. I made it.
I'm making it. Yeah. I'm a grown-up now.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to drink the
you got the whole
scotch.
costume. You're like the Park Slope mom with the fucking,
costume. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was a costume. So somebody tried to say something to you and you brushed them off.
Oh, that was the first time.
Yeah.
Then I have the blessing of having a wonderful business partner.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, there are a few people I listen to in my life.
Yeah.
My dad, my brother. Interesting, they're all men.
Surprise.
My dad, my brother, my husband, my business partner, and my son. Each of them had said, you better watch your drinking. And I was like, if they're saying that, never mind.
Yeah, because you're closing deals, you're making things happen.
Yeah, I look good. I wasn't falling down, or so I thought.
How are you feeling on the inside when this is going on?
Scared, inflated ego, but also super insecure. Imposter syndrome out to like, how am I doing so well so quickly? They're going to know I'm a fraud. I can't even figure out what 10% of this down payment is. Rah.
Yeah, and like physically, are you having problems yet?
Funny you should ask. No, but it was getting there. It was
right,
getting
like
there.
You could smell it coming. Like, dude, I shouldn't be this hungover.
I got really fat.
Yeah.
And I was...
Yeah.
Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, the disease starts showing up on the outside.
Yeah.
So you got really fat?
Hangovers became like, well, this is me, fat.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. I got really fat. I gained a lot of weight from the drinking. And the hangovers, I was sick. Called sick to work. Mommy has to stay in bed, but they were hangovers, Jared. I was bullshitting everybody.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I'm older now. I can't handle the alcohol. Bullshit. I wasn't getting older. I was drinking more.
Yeah.
I was like, women's hormones change how you ingest alcohol.
Yeah, all the justification.
Oh, God, the justifications.
It sounds, when you write them on paper, I love you. Like, you're my sister. Like, we would laugh. Like, that's why, like, when our kids, like, say things to us that I know that they believe that is the truth, and I give them that credit because their world is so small. But I'm like, dude, that sounds fucking crazy. Yeah. I know. I'm not an authority figure. I know because I'm crazy.
Yeah.
And I know the stories that I would tell myself that was fiction, and if I say it to you, and if you didn't believe me, I'm like, you calling me a liar? Like, I would be offended that you didn't believe my lie.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's like, my son's like, I'm a great actor because I'm a great liar. I'm like, I know. I made you.
Yeah.
I made you. I know. Cuando tú estás de ida, yo estoy de vuelta. When you are on your way, I'm on my way back. And unfortunately, it's with addict behavior. You know this.
Yeah. So how did the end start showing up?
The pandemic.
Yeah, so the pandemic comes. And now you can't work.
No,
right?
I can't work. And I was back to laundry every day, wiping things down, cooking, cleaning.
The mundane.
Being in charge of schoolwork. And we had a beautiful house at this time and a cute dog, and we were all together. Yay. There were many beautiful things about the pandemic, don't get me wrong. But Jared, remember the clapping at 7?
Yeah.
That was an excuse to drink. I was quarantined in the basement. I was lonely. I kept my alcohol bottles, like perfume bottles, because nobody would see them because I was quarantined in the basement because I had come back from a trip, a real estate conference in Las Vegas, and I came back with a sniffle, and the family was like, you stay the fuck downstairs.
Right.
Liquor stores are an essential business.
Isn't it crazy how that was?
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Why do you think it was?
I honestly don't know.
You had that in your sobriety, and this was the beginning of my bottom.
Yeah. I thought it was
So I agreed with that. I was like, damn straight they're essential.
This is, all right.
Tell me.
We're gonna take 2 minutes and tumble down my
I want to take 2 minutes and tumble down.
Rogan rabbit hole. I thought that the government really was coming to grips with what was happening. They didn't know how to handle and how to respond to people getting sick. Now, there are people who listen to this show that I know are in Europe, in India, in Japan, everywhere, and other parts of the country, North Carolina. If I showed you the list where everybody downloads, you'd be like, wow, we're like famous. But they weren't where we were. Mm-hmm. New York City was like ground zero. So like they didn't understand ambulances flying every hour, bringing people to and from hospital and all that. So this is what I believe. I believe that if they closed the liquor stores, people would lose their mind. They're like, listen, these people have to be able to get a drink or something. Like,
yeah, because the restaurants were closed.
Yeah, everything was like, in the sense of like, okay, like if we don't, I'm not gonna say distract them, but if we don't help them anesthetize a little bit, they're gonna really realize that we don't know what we're doing, and in a sense, not like negligent, but in like we're learning as we go.
Oh yeah,
like fucking Fauci's every day this way, he's every day that way. Then you got Trump, then you got this, you got that. They're like, okay, well, before we have a fucking full blown revolution, first things first, everybody gets $2,000, right? We're gonna start. We gotta give you some money to pacify yourself. We'll make sure that you can get some liquor or whatever. People work from home until they have the opportune time to put things in order. That is the only reason why I would logically think for them to keep the liquor stores open, because it's definitely not an essential business.
No.
On any level. Like there's no medicinal, it's not a pharmacy. But that's why, if you're asking me, that's what I think.
I think.
The liquor stores were delivering.
Oh, God, yeah.
At that time, my shop was in a different area. It was in Dyker. It was on 72nd and Fort Hamilton Parkway. There was a liquor store around the corner from me. Bro, you would think it was a McDonald's. He had the guys outside with the bicycles and the little scooter bikes. Bro, he was printing money. He was bam, 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 bam. He was selling out crazy.
And he was selling it to me.
It was crazy, yeah.
And he was selling it
Not
to
just
me.
you, but like a lot of moms. And then the whole Zoom shit, the stage was set.
For me, it was also the socialization. And you could carry containers. You could drink on the streets. That was fun. I could walk my dog to the liquor store, say hello to people, not be around my family, not be inside the house.
Right.
And I could go back to my little apartment in the basement with my liquor bottles. 7 o'clock became 6 o'clock, became 4 o'clock. Came to the point where my daughter was looking up on TikTok how to make cocktails, because that would be our quality time, and that would be homeschooling.
Yeah.
So sad. So fucking sad. I wanted to numb the pain. My husband was working from home. He deals with very traumatic subject matter that I'd have to listen to.
Yeah.
So I was really resentful about that.
Yeah, like I have to be here to endure that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about rape cases, child sex abuse cases.
Yeah. Real stuff.
Real stuff. And here I am bitching and moaning that I can't show a condo. Wah.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden the real estate market opened up.
Right.
And that was glorious. Oh, and the Zoom happy hours, remember that? Well, you don't remember.
I don't remember.
But how was AA on Zoom? Like, how did program get to be like, how did they get their shit together so quickly with the Zoom?
If I told you, you wouldn't believe it.
I don't believe anything you say.
Well, in all fairness, we had Zoom meetings.
Way before the pandemic.
No. There were online meetings, but they were on like chats. They weren't on Zoom. But we had Zoom meetings within 2 weeks of the lockdown. Maybe within 1 week. There were thousands already. That's how organized it was. It was so crazy. And yeah, because that's how, I found myself on Zoom. And if you go in the Zoom logs, it's alphabetical, the meetings, right? First one, and I'm a literature guy. I love literature meetings. Regular meetings, cool, whatever. Everybody gets up, tells their
For
fucking
those of you who
story.
don't know what a literature meeting is, Jared, can you please tell us quickly?
A literature meeting is like, where you do actual reading out of the literature, the step books, the big book, that kind of stuff, like where you're actually doing the technical program and you're not just getting up there and sharing stories. All of it matters, but I happen to enjoy the literature stuff because, anyway, so the first meeting alphabetically was called A Way Out. And I was like, wow, it's incredible. So I love the name. And it was a big book study. And it was in California. So 12 o'clock our time and 9 o'clock their time in the morning. There's a big book study. And it was formed on Zoom. It wasn't a regular meeting that transferred. They put it together. I still go a few days a week. Every day that I can, I go there. And even if I just listen and we read the book for 20 minutes and then people sharing whatever. But AA, like that, NA, like that, all of it. It's incredible.
How did it, I'm sure there are old timers and non-tech savvy people. Were there fellows helping people get set up and figure out the Zoom? Because we had to do that at our church with older folks.
Yeah. Like they would have a meeting, they'd send somebody to somebody's house. This is how you log into Zoom. There were all these Zoom bombers. In the beginning, it was so wild. So then what made you really stop? Well, how did the end show up?
The end showed up. I didn't want to live anymore. I wanted to die. It was May 2020. And I'm like, you know what? My birthday's tomorrow. If I get out of bed, I get out of bed. If I don't get out of bed and I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. And then I thought, maybe I can just fall asleep forever. Nah, I have kids. Let me just keep drinking. That'll do it. And it was a long bottom.
Yeah.
Alcoholism, it's just crazy. It wasn't DUIs for me or prisons. It's not the thug life for me. It wasn't that. It was just a loss of dignity and grace and self-esteem and will to live and anger, Jared. There was so much anger.
Yeah.
And it kept going and going. And my son was really struggling. He's the happy one, and he was really struggling. And I was the happy one also. We go to Florida in February for President's Week. I would plan my drinking. Like, let's eat dinner here tonight because we can walk there. My in-laws have a house in Florida, and they were gone, and there was a car.
Yeah.
we planned a trip to Miami from Sanibel, drive across the Panhandle. So I hired an Uber driver just so I could drink with my uncle.
Wow.
$300. That's totally normal, right?
Yeah.
Alcoholics, right? Yeah. Also, I wasn't allowed to use my mother-in-law's car for that long of a trip. On the way back, my son and I witness an accident right in front of us. We get out of the car. I'm a little tipsy from the sangrias I had. And a woman, it was a UPS truck. We get out of the car, and me being me, doing everything to extremes, and my son too, by the way, we run up to her, and our Uber driver had. Her body was contorted in a way that no human body should be contorted in, and her eyes were open.
Yeah.
Her skin was glistening. I thought it was glistening. She was African American. It was blood.
Yeah.
And she was like, call my husband, call my husband. We found her cell phone. And my son, God bless him, witnessed this too. What's your code, ma'am? What's your code? What's your name? Tracy. What's your husband's name? Dwayne. I called Dwayne. I'm like, Dwayne, my name's Allie. Your wife has been in an accident. You need to come here. I'm like, where am I? Where am I? My Uber driver told us where we are. At this point, people are stopping. Cops come. My son is standing off, like being stoic. Mind you, we're there to recover from his situation.
Right.
He needed a break from New York. He'd been going through a lot.
Right.
So he's witnessing this trauma. Dwayne was like, what's going on? What's going on? He's like, I'm almost there. And I'm like, I have his phone. The cops are like, ma'am, get away. I'm like, I am waiting for this woman's husband. I got all indignant. I was responsible for Tracy now,
right,
and getting Dwayne to Tracy.
Yeah.
And her keys, which had a little Pikachu
Nice.
on it. It's a human. Like, I'm petting her hair. Tracy, Dwayne's coming. Dwayne's coming. Now medical professionals are there, and they're like, stand back. And for some reason, I was so calm and in the moment, and my only purpose at that moment was to get this husband and this wife together because she wasn't going to make it.
Right.
And he did. He made it. And the cops wouldn't let him by. This big, tall, black man, and the cops were like, get the fuck back. And I'm like, that is her husband. He's like, I don't care who she is. And I'm like, I break through the cops, and I grab his hand, and I was like, here's her phone. Here's her keys, come with me. And I dragged him, and Luke was like, Mama, they're gonna arrest you. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Anyway, long story short, Tracy didn't make it. Dwayne and I stayed in touch to this day. I said that night, in my mind, I'm like, you don't have to lose your family to lose your family.
Yeah.
And that was February 28th. March 4th, I had a really bad drunk, and I'm just like Dwayne. He texted me a few days later to tell me that she had passed. Then he invited me to her online Zoom memorial. And I started this diet called the Whole 30 because I had put on so much weight from the pandemic, from all the drinking. Not from all the snacking, as I was telling everybody, if I'm going to be honest. It was from the drinking. I couldn't go 3 days without alcohol.
Yeah. That's a long time.
I couldn't go for 3 days. It was a 30-day thing. And I woke up, I had a really bad drunk. I'm not going to get into details today, right now. We can talk offline. But the morning of, I literally got on my knees and I said, I can't live like this. The Holy Spirit has got, I'm done. I'm done. I can't live like this anymore, and I want to live. Tracy made me want to live. My kids made me want to live. Something clicked where I no longer wanted to die. I wanted to not just be alive, but actively live. So I prayed. AA was the last stop. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll try this AA thing. And I called my brother. I sent my brother a text saying, I'm never drinking again. How many times have I sent that text to him? He's like, this time I think you really mean it. He said, call someone.
Yeah.
And I called a dear friend, a fellow who, because of his gratitude and service and commitment, I always knew he was in the rooms. Dear, dear friend of the family's, my other husband. His son is like my other son. His wife is like my sister wife. Like, seriously, like, I called him. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
He's a great listener, and he has a great voice. And I was like, I'm ready. And he's like, uh-huh. The way he always says, uh-huh.
Are you sure?
Uh-huh.
He's so funny.
And, okay.
I love him.
Okay. So did you talk to Peter? No, you're the only person I'm calling. Okay. All right. I'm going to get you some numbers. I'm going to call you back. You're going to answer. He's so great. He gave me 2 numbers. I called one woman who's been in my life to this day. And I went to my first meeting that night. My husband's like, you're going to spend...
On Zoom?
Nope.
In person?
Diker Heights, baby, the only in person, because I was like, let me try Zoom. And I listened to Mustard Seed. Peter, my husband, recommended that because that's he'd worked with Mustard Seed in his. But I couldn't get the Zoom because I had been doing Zoom happy hours, so it was, as the kids say, triggering.
Yeah.
And I can't focus with my ADD, and I don't use that term lightly. I'm like officially diagnosed ADD, but I cannot do the Vyvanse or the Adderall.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject.
So I went.
Adderall.
I like coffee. Coffee is my drug of choice now.
Yeah, my
son tells me I need to go to Caffeine Anonymous.
That's funny. So then you end up going to a meeting where in Diker, right?
Diker Heights. I didn't know from Diker Heights except the Christmas lights because I'm like this Park Slope, Windsor Terrace mom.
From Bronxville.
With the pearls.
Yeah.
And people treated me like I was freaking the celebrity that I always wanted to be, number 1. Number 2, kind. Why are they being nice to me? Don't they know I'm a piece of shit, drinking and not being able to raise my kids? Oh, Jesus. Got numbers, got literature. They got me. I was validated and seen and heard. And Jared, it was like, I was 46 years old, and I was like, this was what my problem's been all my whole life. It hasn't been the depression. It hasn't been the narcissism. It hasn't been this. It hasn't been this is drinking, stupid. Take that away, and then there's the work of the program. I didn't even know.
Yeah, you were home.
I was home.
To me, it's like a very weird thing that I would see you on my side of town, and then I'd see you like over in Park Slope. I'm like, why is this lady from Park Slope coming all the way over here? I didn't know until now that this is why.
Really?
No, 100%. Because I'm like, bro, number 1, people from my neighborhood don't go to meetings in Park Slope. It doesn't exist.
No.
Yeah.
There was no COVID in Diker Heights.
Yeah, listen, Diker, Bath Beach, Bensonhurst, we ain't even got no bookstores, bro. There's no stroller moms.
No.
It's not.
I was a fish out of water.
No, but it's like, but people have like that judgment. But it's such a loving place.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the fucking Ginzos, the blah, 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 the Blue Lives Matter guys, or whatever they're going to fucking say with their judgment. I'm like, bro, I promise you, people in that neighborhood will bring food to your home.
Yeah. And in those rooms, none of that shit matters.
At all.
You know what it was like? Did you ever watch Lost?
Very little.
Okay. Or any place where people are stranded on an island, or any of the zombie movies where you have the businessman and you have the iron or the steel worker and then you have the school teacher or the Bible guy.
It's like the drug dealer's living room. No, but I get it. And I'm happy that you came there. But so it's like...
Any length, bro. I didn't even know that was a term. I said, I'm going to do whatever the fuck it takes, even if it means going to Diker Heights.
Yeah. Because it's not close to where you live. So...
Spending money on an Uber.
You start coming to meetings. How do you feel?
Oh, God. I felt like I was home. You hit the nail on the head. Like, so my Aunt Lee, beautiful, amazing woman, she's been sober like 35,000 years, right? She always loved AA and I always talk about AA. I'm like, all right, enough with the AA. And my cousins and I would like make fun of her behind the back. Like, she's in the cult of AA, blah.
Yeah.
I called Aunt Lee and I'm like, Aunt Lee, you're right. This place is fucking awesome. It was a place where people were being nice to each other. It's like what I always wanted church to be.
Right.
We volunteer. We don't judge. I got to pick a God. It didn't have to be the God of my Catholic upbringing.
Right.
My God, guess what? My higher power isn't the higher powers. It's his mother.
Yeah.
My higher power is Virgin Mary. She's my bro. She's my bro.
It can be whomever you want.
Yeah, it was freeing. I heard the promises, and at first I was like, so drama, these promises.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know.
And you detoxed in the room. You didn't go away or anything, right?
No. I wasn't, quote, that bad, according to other alcoholics who spoke to me and family members. They're like, but tú no eres una borracha. I'm like, yeah, I am. Comes in all shapes and sizes, and it's a spectrum, if you will.
Yeah.
I didn't have to detox. I was this close. I did say the night I surrendered, and I did say to a friend on the phone, I want to nip this in the bud because I'm headed on a down road. I knew that I was going to end up in AA sometime. It's my last stop. And if I die, also we knew somebody, my family, who died of liver failure, our age. I was like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is this, and I want to be very clear, and I say this all the time. Like, even though I never went away, and you haven't, I do not ever recommend somebody going from the street to the folding chair. If you are physically addicted to alcohol and you're getting the shakes and all kind of stuff, go and get medically removed.
Medically removed?
Yeah, go to a detox for a weekend. They'll step you off. They'll do whatever they got to do. You can die from alcohol withdrawal. And a lot of people don't understand that because it's one of the legal drugs.
Yeah,
feels
legal.
So you start to get sober.
And looking back, I realized that I felt so sick because my body was detoxing. I was almost there, but I have to thank God by the grace of God. No,
listen, look, if you saw somebody, you are who you are. If you saw somebody in that shape, you would be like, listen, maybe we can go to a hospital.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love that I'm learning so much in this program about health, mental health and physical health that I never, and I thought I was well versed and educated, that I never heard. And this is from like the grandma in the rooms or the former prisoner sitting in the rooms. There's so much physically involved.
And spiritual help.
Then hold on, let's get to that. Holy shit. I thought I was doing great with my Catholic upbringing and the faith. Steps 1, 2, 3 for me, I don't want to say came easy, came naturally to me.
You weren't scared?
No. God was Mary, the higher power, something greater than faith. My parents gave my brother and me the gift of faith.
Right.
And the ability to speak Spanish fluently. They gave us the gift of faith. So that I never, while I strayed from faith, while I questioned faith, I never lost faith. And that is a gift, and that's a grace of God, and that was a particular blessing to me.
Right.
Married a man of faith, have kids, they're teenagers, but they have some faith.
Yeah, they know that maybe they're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to meetings?
I'm going to meetings, and I didn't realize it. I made friends for the first time who weren't parents of my kids' friends or school involved or real estate involved, like real humans who had interests and could have fun without alcohol, and who, oh God, like it was people who were, a girl new to New York, I'm new to sobriety. She had a year, I have 3 days. All of a sudden, we're best friends to this day. I have her birthday card in my bag, actually. I got to write her. We write letters to each other. Remember letter writing?
Oh, man,
yeah. Because she moved back to Pennsylvania. So it's like we're misfits. It's like, this is where I was going with the lost thing. It's like we all in this together. We have to survive. Walking Dead. Everybody's different, and we all have our roles to play in this apocalypse called sobriety.
Right.
And I just threw myself in, and my role was to begin helping people and service. I loved service. Greeting, chairs, reading. Now I'm shaky with the service because I have some family obligations that are being a little bit crazy, but driving people to meetings is fun. I get to talk to them, and I get to, I'm not the best driver, but I get to use my driving to bring somebody to a meeting who otherwise wouldn't go.
Yeah, and you get to be honest.
I get to be honest.
You don't have to wear a costume.
I don't have to wear a costume. I'm happy, joyous, and free. I don't have to plan what my next drink is. I don't have to plan the lies and remember the lies.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean life is easy.
Oh, no. A very wise man said the other day, I've been quoting, it's not a pity party, it's just life.
Yeah. It's very true.
Suicide attempts from loved ones, a death. I lost a dear friend, cat dying, renovation of a house, home, all of these things.
These things that are like unbearable to face without being drunk. And when you're sober, you have to feel we were driving here today, and I had to call my dad and say sorry because I yelled at him. And like that was not, and he is like a very D's, Dems, and Do's kind of guy.
I loved him.
So he was just like, nah, don't worry about it. It's all right. I was like, no. It's not all right. Like, you know, he's almost 80. No, he's like in his 70s. But you got to like force feed him an apology because that's just who he is. Because he's from a generation that doesn't say sorry. So you saying sorry is like, you know, Uncle Petey running around the tree naked. Like it's like something crazy. Like, sorry, what the fuck is that for?
Oh yeah, my parents never apologized to me. Did your parents ever apologize to you?
Never. And that's why, like, that's one of the gifts that I can give my kids is that, you know, when we do the step work, like we were talking about today in the meeting, like, dude, that I'm able to apologize to my kids all the time about areas where I'm wrong. And it does
admit that you're wrong to your kids
all the time.
Right?
All the time.
Beautiful thing.
But I'm still the fucking authority figure.
Damn straight.
But you're also a human. And you're a little human, and you're a limited human because you don't have the time around the trips around the sun that we have. So I know that I'm like, oh man, yeah, that's not a good idea, right? Only because I have experience, and they're like, they think that they know more than me, and then they find out that
it's like you're watching.
I'm
the puppet show. You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but then it's just like, but here's the thing: is like, you know, like what I talk about this in one of my other episodes. I was talking about. I was like, dude, my kids will never be in a therapist's office at 35 having a breakdown talking about my dad ain't never said sorry to me and my dad ain't never said he loved me. Like, that is where the chain gets broken. What do you call it? Where you break the
trauma chain?
Yeah, whatever it is. Like when they're like, you gotta break the chain, the generational thing. Like, dude, my parents never said sorry because if they never said sorry, that means their parents really fucking never said sorry. Like, you know, and that's the thing. So if I could just break that part of the cycle where I'm like, hey, listen, you don't get the final vote, but you get a vote.
You matter.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy how kids, and when I was a kid, I felt like I didn't matter.
Because we didn't.
We didn't.
We didn't.
And you know what? Maybe my pendulum is swinging the other way, and I'm giving my kids too much voice and too much empowerment.
That's okay, too.
But you're so right. They're not going to be able to say that my mom isn't working on herself. My son at my anniversary meeting, and I have it on my phone, I'll read it to you later, wrote the most beautiful thing for me. And they're paying attention. They pay attention to us.
Well, here's the thing. They can say, this is like legit story. Like they can say, dude, my mom started out this way, and I watched her turn a corner and end up this way. So they'll know that it's possible that wherever they are in their life, they can't say they don't know. I never saw what you and I are living. It just didn't exist. Like I had one uncle who went to AA because he got a DWI driving Coca-Cola trucks. If you could, the fucking 18-wheelers like a madman. And he never spoke about it. And then, because I came from a family where like everybody drank and everybody was crazy, but there were some people who were really over the limit, and they'd be like, okay, you can, you know, this person can come to Titi Dori's house, but he's not allowed to drink when he comes. Like, that's how crazy it was. It was never, like, I never saw evolution. I just saw people getting up every day, punching a clock, and that was it.
Evolution, personal growth wasn't a thing. It was like go to mass, which is fine. But we've, as a society, are developing differently.
Bro, my mom's got like fucking blisters on her fingers from the rosaries.
Oh, right now, it's 7 o'clock. My mom's saying her rosary right now.
It's so crazy where like...
and there's nothing wrong with that, and I love that. And I do pray the rosary to this day. But there's more. There's additional stuff. I never was taught accountability the way... The 12 steps have been teaching me accountability. I know about it. It existed, but I should say...
In theory.
Yeah, I don't practice it. And now I do. And guess what? I'm teaching my kids that. Yeah. I'm teaching my husband that. I'm teaching myself that.
Yeah, that this is the way that I want to be on this earth. That where... And...
What is my role in this?
Yeah. And also just like... I think the truth really... is what love is. Love is the truth. Now, we may have to find ways of saying it nice. Like, you know, okay, you're a Hispanic woman. So I already know that because my mom is a Hispanic woman and I had a sister, R.I.P., that she was a Hispanic woman. But let me tell you, everybody else who are not and don't understand that when you are a Hispanic woman and you put on 1 pound, your aunts and your mom, right? ¿Está gordita? Oh my God.
La potona.
They fucking...
Te estás poniendo potona. Te estás poniendo potona.
Mira tú. And then you're just like how... That's
or you don't wear makeup, she's letting herself go. What's wrong?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. You know. And so it's like, you know, that's a cultural thing that they will never be able to be like, I'm sorry that I called my daughter fat 74,000 times by the time she was fucking 25. Yeah. And then I'm wondering why she's chasing the wrong fucking guy.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Or that she's smacking her kids around or like what, like they don't know. Yeah, and even if they know it, they can't even say it. Yeah. Where at least you'll be able to be like, you know what? I could have been a better mom, and I'm trying now.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I didn't do everything right. I didn't do everything wrong. But the things that I did wrong is because, in the sense that, like, we learn, especially in parenting, we learn how to humanize ourselves for our kids. We're like, dude, I know I'm your mom, but I'm also human.
Yes.
Like, I'm not like this thing whipping thunderbolts at you. Like,
so funny that you say that.
I'm a human. Like, I don't, we're both growing up at the same time.
It's very painful to realize the day you realize your parents are actually mortals and humans. Right. And I remember thinking that I want my kids to see me as a person because I see them as a person. So I want them to see my flaws. I always let them see me cry. I always let them see me angry. I let them feel how they wanted to feel. I was told, why are you sad? You have nothing to be sad about. And
that's bullshit.
But that's the culture. They didn't know any better. My parents didn't read Dr. Spock. They're like, we don't need to read Dr. Spock. We were parents. It's probably why I became an actress, because emotions of any extreme was, if you're mad, you're not allowed to be mad because you're a girl, by the way.
Yeah.
Girls aren't allowed to be mad. No. We have to be prim and proper.
Oh,
and pretty. We have to be pretty. And smile. Ugh.
Yeah, the fact that you can look your own kid in the face and be like, listen, I'm figuring it out too.
We laugh about it.
But there still has to be, but then there's that balance where there still has to be, look, I'm also, treating you with love. I know you don't get it right now, but there are times with my own kids where I have to intervene and be like, listen, you have summoned me to this table to have this fucking sit down with you because you are doing ABC.
You summoned yourself, buddy.
Right, exactly. Where I'm just like, this is how my son, right? When he was in junior high school, maybe it was junior high. Yeah, it was definitely junior high. He was junior high smoking weed, right? This is just when Facebook fucking comes. My son's 27, right? I had him 3 months before my 16th birthday. So, yeah, we were not fucking around. So, my son...
What did your Catholic mom say?
Oh, my God. She ignored me for years. So, my son's smoking weed, and I'm watching him make these little Facebook posts like, it just hit up 2 dubs, I'm going down for the count. And I come home and I'm seeing him like sleeping on the fucking couch with like grilled cheese sandwiches everywhere and shit, right? And I'm like, okay. And I'm just being real. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying anything because he's telling on himself, right? And I let it rock for like a few months. Then the report card comes. He's fucking failing everything. And I said, my friend, come here. I said, now, he knew I was in recovery. This kid carried every cake that I ever had up until he moved. Oh, no, one time he wasn't around and my girl carried it. But other than that, and he was like, who's going to carry the cake? Yeah, so he knows I'm in recovery. All of my sponsees have been through the house. They're all fucking Uncle Shawnee, Uncle Anthony, Uncle fucking Roberto, Uncle Justin, all of them, right? Uncle Angus, right? So I said, listen, my friend. I said, I grew up with guys that could smoke weed, chill, and be functioning and get good grades and do whatever. I said, if that was you, I wouldn't co-sign it, but I'd probably leave you alone. But you failed fucking gym, bro. I said, you failed gym. I said, this is not for you. Now I have to intervene because if you were getting C's, I would leave you alone. Hey, yeah, you smoke weed, you get C's, okay. I'd be like, all right, maybe you take a little bit less, maybe you'll get B's, whatever. Like, but you failing gym means this is not for you, bro. And and I meant it because that's how honest I was with him. And he stopped.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, he doesn't have that addict thing, whatever, but I didn't come down on him like from the mountaintop, like, this is going to ruin your brain, this is going to ruin your life. I'm like, no, dude, I know fucking guys who were doing fucking credit swaps and derivative trading, and they smoked weed every day, and they were brilliant. And if that was you, good for you. But I'm letting you know, if you can't find fucking basketball shorts and run around fucking the playground, then, bro, this ain't the one, And I think...
He listened, the message landed.
Right, and I think it was because it was with honesty and humility.
And a neutral tone, by the way, not screaming and shouting.
Yeah, not like, hey, listen, I say you do. There was certain stuff...
Or, I'm very disappointed in you.
Oh, yeah, that was never... I would be like, motherfucker. But certain things I was very strict about. And one of the things was... bro, there can't be dishes in the sink. If the dishwasher's right here, this is where they need to go. So I would just let him know I was on the way home, and he would clean the kitchen, and that was it. So that was it. So those kinds of things I was very strict about. But like real life stuff, times he got in trouble with the law and whatever, I was very like, hey, listen, this is life. You're in the wrong place, wrong time with the wrong people. Sometimes it's your fault. Sometimes you're getting pinched now for shit that you did do that you didn't get caught for. And this is your turn to pay.
Yeah, and you were sober for that. And I really do think that's a huge thing. Teenagers are not a small task. Small kids, small problems. Okay, yeah, I was fucking wasted in the tea lounge, but thank God I'm not fucking wasted now with big kids, big problems.
No, because you get to come to the village.
Yes.
Get some groupthink and then go home with not only your own vision, not only your own ideas, and not like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because if you're just stuck in your own wheel, then it's over.
And you know what else I have, Jared?
What?
What I've really learned is I restarted the steps. It's the willingness and turning it over to God and say, you know what? I am going to just trust. I am going to believe that things will be okay because they're going to turn out the way the universe freaking intends them to. And that, guess what? That might mean some shitty stuff along the way, but it's something I can't handle because I have literally sobriety means clear-headedness.
Right.
Recovery. I have recovered all of my senses and my feelings that I can now use to apply to this very difficult period of menopause, aging parents, teenage girl, 14. I swear to God, if we sent 14-year-old girls to Russia, Putin would be gone by now. They're so mean.
Yeah.
They're so mean. 16-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Bless his heart, midlife crisis. My husband just turned 50, midlife crisis husband. These are all the things that
It's real life.
Mother Nature throws on a midlife woman, parenting, daughtering, caring, giving, nurturing. And I have to have a career?
Yeah.
No, my man, I have to have the spiritual strength. And where do I get that? I get that from God, from my faith, from my church community, from my AA community, from the literature.
The literature has all the answers. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Listen, Allie, it was incredible. I love you so much.
I love you. You're so wise. Obi-Wan.
That's it. Well, I'm just going to say thank you instead of some snarky fucking thing.
Yeah, just say thank you and have me back.
Yeah,
please.
We'll have you back. All right, you guys find us, where? Apple, Spotify, Google, everywhere, Twitcher, Stitcher. I feel bad. No, I shouldn't say that. Pandora and Stitcher, because my homegirl Tamara, she does like the marketing for them, and she like
Twitcher
or something.
Twitch.
No, Stitcher. No, Twitch is where they stream stuff. I think Stitcher is where is linked to the Pandora for the. Anyway, Tamara, I love you too. And yes, you were going to say something.
I just want to jump in. I am not shy about my sobriety. Feel free to friend me on Instagram. Dare I Eat a Peach? My name is from the poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. I'm not going to recite it right now, but I really want to. Yeah. But Dare I Eat a Peach on Instagram, and we can send funny memes, inspirational stories, and much to everybody's chagrin, I do break my anonymity there, which I don't mind because hopefully that can help someone.
100%. All right, we love you guys. Peace.
Thank you.